I'm telling you right now, Greenland 2 is the must-watch survival movie of this year. John, Allison, and Nathan Garitty are all back on the big screen, showing us humanity's long and painful migration through a broken world, one that has now been shaped by radiation, war, and impossible choices. From the bunkers and chaos, to England in shambles, France going through a civil war, to the final destination that John Garitty brought his family to, Greenland 2 shows us everything we wanted right after Greenland. Let's break it down. 5 years after Clark had hit, humanity is still sealed underground. Life in the Greenland bunkers is stable but suffocating, heavily rationed, tightly governed, and ruled by a board of ragtag trustees. To determine whether Earth has become livable again, surface exploration teams are deployed. John joins these missions to explore the coast, partly for science, partly to scavenge for supplies that could help the bunker. That decision almost kills him. A violent ocean storm overwhelms the expedition, nearly wiping out John. It's the film's first reminder that the planet doesn't need comets anymore. Earth itself is hostile now. John manages to make it back to the safety of the bunker just in the nick of time, showing us the lethality the planet still has. This movie does a quick and great job of catching us up after the events of the first movie. Allison is now part of the bunker's leadership board, while Nathan spends most of his time staring at the stars. Obsessed with the skies that nearly killed humanity, often sneaking out without the permission of his parents, their main concern not being the danger that's found outside, but the heavily radiated outside, which can cause a lot of damage, which we will see further into the film. John is part of the structural integrity team, rebuilding broken parts to the bunker here and there. Life in the bunker is grueling on the mental state of the occupants, while still trying to create the happiness that their civilization still had at one time. A growing concern of the board, specifically of Dr. Amina, a brilliant doctor who had come to learn the behaviors of natural disasters overcoming the Earth. Is tectonic plates shifting due to the impact of Clark, which is causing earthquakes more frequently in the bunkers, breaking it piece by piece. Allison and the doctor push their concern that they must leave and find somewhere more habitable, a place called the Crater, where Dr. Amina speculates that life flourishes and is protected by the elements of this new world. Similar to the dinosaurs that were wiped out by their meteor, a place called Chicks Club's Crater is where nature began to rebuild. Dr. Amina speculates that they may have the same event happening for them, Clark's Crater, and their main concern finally became their biggest problem sooner than they had realized. A massive tectonic plate shift devastated the Greenland bunker network. Sections collapse, systems fail, the safe haven Greenland depended on is no longer safe. Evacuation becomes the only option for the habitants and the Garitty family. Survivors flee towards the coast, loading onto boats John had found on the coast during his previous expeditions to the outside. Many vessels fail almost immediately due to the overwhelming amount of people trying to pack into them. After a scary battle with not only the radiation, but the other people they had come to call friends, the family manages to get on a boat, one carrying John, Allison, Nathan, and Dr. Amina. But as everyone knows, if near a body of water, specifically the ocean, when an earthquake happens, a tsunami follows. The boat battles a massive tsunami which the crew manages to clear, while having to watch the rest of the people they called friends die in front of them. After some time at sea, their lifeboat, only meant for short distance, eventually gives out, forcing them to have to pray they can make it ashore with only the help of the waves to guide them to England, where a sister bunker they had kept in communication with is located. After managing to reach it with very little supplies left of their rations, they make it ashore and head to the bunker, where at the entry point of the bunker they are actually denied, because none of them had their access cards, besides Allison. And in the midst of this chaos, a radiation storm begins, and the crew must flee immediately. There they encounter a Nigerian man, and manage to escape by trading in their items to get a ride away from the storm. The crew decides to head to a woman named Mackenzie, a woman they had kept in contact with while they were in the bunker of Greenland, and the Englishman decides to take them. They stop for a short break, only to be hit by a comet strike. They hug trees and hold on for their life, trying not to get hit or get blasted by the seismic waves that it caused, but sadly the unnamed man was killed during the comets. Once again, they still decide to head to Mackenzie's only by foot now, since the van they had was destroyed by the comets. Traveling on foot, the group reaches Mackenzie's Alzheimer care home, where here she takes care of elderly with dementia who had been forgotten by their family. They catch up and talk with Mackenzie. Once they all head to bed, here, John privately accepts that this place may be where he dies. His body's already failing and his lungs are deteriorating. Before they had left the Greenland bunker, he had been diagnosed by the doctor of having radiation poisoning and that he would die in 6 to 8 weeks. He shares this news with Allison, them two being the only people that know of this. After a quick rest that night, they decide to still head towards the crater. Mackenzie supplies them with a new vehicle, food, medical supplies, and even a spare gun she had managed to pick up. They say their goodbyes, and they continue down to France, where Mackenzie had told them that there were rumors of French militia who were there helping people and trying to get them to the crater. On their way there, they are attacked by a group of marauders. The confrontation turns violent, and with the first shot, Dr. Amina is killed in the back seat. John manages to kill one of them, sneaking up behind them, and right as he's about to shoot the second, his gun runs out of ammunition. But just before he's killed, Allison had picked up the gun off the other marauder and shot him dead. Both now having kill counts to their name and shattering any sense of moral distance that they had left. With nothing left in England, they push towards the English Channel, hoping to cross it to make it to France. But to their surprise, they don't find an English Channel. They find it completely dried out due to the geological and environmental collapse. And now, instead, to cross into continental Europe, the group must traverse a massive geological fissure instead, using only a suspended rope bridge system, followed by a decrepit ladder system. Nathan has a breakdown, as we now see all of this is finally taking a toll on him. John manages to calm him, and they begin crossing. Though there were rough winds, they make it midway through the crossing past the rope bridge, and just as they're about to start going across the ladder bridge, more tectonic plate shifts cause both the ladder and the rope bridges to finally snap. Midway through crossing, a panicked man had jumped onto the nearby ladder and almost knocked Nathan completely off. John and Allison managed to catch him, and he barely survives, saved only by John and Allison's strength. They make it across and finally see eyesight of France, only to be shot at. And here's where they meet Denis Laurent. But Denis is actually friendly. He warns that the place they're in is dangerous and often festered with insurgents, a group that only deals in chaos. He offers them shelter, and his home becomes the first place that feels genuinely human since the bunkers fell. Denis explains what happened while the others were underground. A massive global conflict erupted between the Western Alliance and the Eastern Coalition, and they fought over habitable land, bunkers, and remaining infrastructure. Comet impacts reshaped Europe, creating new mountain ranges and dead zones. Denis's wife, who was dying from radiation exposure, and his daughter Camille lived here with him. John tells them of their journey and tells them that they intend to go to the crater. Denis asks the Garitties to take Camille with them because he will not leave his sickly wife, and they agree. That night is filled with quiet emotional scenes, meals shared, stories told, and moments of peace that feel borrowed rather than earned. Denis instructs them to head towards Venice, where Denis claims to have connections with the camp's commander. As they head there, the group decides to take another break and play some Would You Rather. These small human moments reminding us what civilization and humanity is all about. But of course, as we've learned, they can never just have a break. While there, they're interrupted by the French battalion, but Camille is able to translate for them and diffuses the encounter. A French soldier says they will be able to lead them to Commander Junet, the man who Denis claimed to have connections with, but that the only way through is through a battlefield. He claims that it will be very dangerous, but it is the only way to make it there. The soldier is able to lead them through the stalemate, along through their trenches, and gives them directions towards the camp. Once they reach the camp, they learn that Commander Junet is already dead. Junet's second in command sends them away, but after some convincing from John, he agrees to help them. He allows them to board a transport bus heading towards the bunker complex where the crater is, but this bus is ambushed by insurgents. They are forced off the bus by the insurgents after the French military has been killed, but here John manages to overpower one of the insurgents still on the bus. The other insurgent outside is killed by the group, all of them overwhelming him at once. It pans back to John, who is fighting the insurgent, and we hear 2 shots go off, but we see John emerge out and the insurgent dead, but not without consequence, as we can see that John was shot. They see the crater's only a couple miles away and continue on the bus. On their way there, the road is blocked by a bunch of vehicles, and the group decides to continue on foot. And just as they cross over the hill, they see the beauty of the crater. John asks his family to stop so he can admire the beauty of it, and then he collapses. Radiation damage and his wound overwhelm his failing lungs. As he collapses, Nathan says a prayer beneath the open sky. The stars, now a source of comfort rather than fear. John Garitty dies knowing his family will survive. And that's about it. As we can see, Greenland 2 wasn't about rebuilding the world. It was about navigating what's left of it and deciding who you're willing to become to survive. John became a man who wanted nothing more than his family to live.